Good morning everybody, welcome back to Cilinix Crypto. I hope you're all doing great and welcome to this new video right here on Solana. We're going to do a full update on the higher time frame. Solana still looks a little bit boring right here. We'll talk about that, but on a lower time frame something interesting is happening, and that's what I wanted to focus on in this video. While also, giving you all the context and giving you the high time frame structure and some fundamentals, which I think you need as well. Last video I did not cover the fundamentals, and I'm a little bit of a nerd for fundamentals. All right, I still care about fundamentals when I'm trading crypto. Whether technically it helps sometimes, I'd say, but at least psychologically it helps, right? So I try to. I don't always, but I try to only trade and invest in projects that fundamentally actually have some value as well. But fundamentally, Solana is doing fine. All right, you can see that the daily transactions are in a steady uptrend. So that's that light blue bar chart here at the bottom. That's good, but what's more important is DEX trading volumes. DEX trading volumes are stable. Especially if you compare to last year, when, by the way, Solana was at the same price, so that's a bit of a bullish divergence. In terms of the fundamentals, stablecoin market cap is also relatively high here, has obviously increased a lot since 2024. And the TVL, which is that blue line, is also doing fine. It's relatively stable, and that is also much higher than last year. So again, fundamentals for Solana. We haven't even spoken about the ETF, but the ETF I'm actually relatively mixed about short term. I'm not sure if short term I actually think the ETF is more likely to be slightly bearish. Because of a combination of the sell the news effect, but also grayscale trust conversions selling off into the ETF. But I've made a video on that before, and I also yesterday, by the way, I posted a video on all of the ETFs that are coming in 2025 most likely. So if you're interested in that, check that out. But we don't need to speak on that too much right now. And then ultimately, Solana at this point of time is very stable, right? It's stable right here between 143. To the downside, and then 158 to the upside, with the option for some deviations higher and lower, as you can see right here. But that's the stability for Solana, and ultimately, on the higher time frames, I think that stability can hold, right? I mean, if things change, if we actually do get some fundamental change, aka news that's relevant for the crypto markets or for Solana specifically, then we can break out. But ultimately, at this point of time, not much is happening on the higher time frames. However, on the lower time frame, something interesting is happening. First of all, we're seeing quite a lot of strength for the total of 3. So this is basically the combined altcoin market cap for majors. Or at least this is the total market cap excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum. So I personally use this as a gauge for, all right, how is the average major like Solana, XRP, how they're doing. And you can see that this is doing pretty good. I mean, you can see a bit of an uptrend starting here. You can see some momentum here, even though the volume is relatively low. And then if you combine that with the lower time frames, Solana actually looks pretty good. I mean, you can see right here, it's very dependent, I think, on how we react to this level right here between 152.5 and 152, right? But what you can see is that this morning we had a high volume move up. We actually broke above the 90-day rolling VWAP. We broke above the value area of yesterday, the value area high, and we created some sort of a fair value gap. So a fair value gap is an imbalance, right? So that's likely to get retested. But this is also like a fair value gap is also created when there's a lot of buyers. So ultimately today, look, it looks like Solana right here is actually breaking out. I think the main level to watch today, though, is that level at 152, let's say around there. I think it's most likely, because of the total 3 and general expectations of the markets, that we are going to get a good reaction there and that we can actually rally up higher. So then I would aim for the value area high, which we just talked about as well on the higher time frames. Right here at 158, 160. That's my main target, but I do think it's most likely that we will be able to auction up to that target. So those are my thoughts. It's obviously, like I said, it's dependent on holding 152 as a strong support, and it's dependent on the fundamentals remaining relatively stable. So be aware of that and keep an eye on that. But no, short term, Solana actually looks pretty good. Then on the higher time frames, I still think stability is more likely. But those are my thoughts. I think that's what you need to know for now. So if you do have any questions, anything, let me know. But for now, thank you for watching. Take care and bye.